Hey y'all, I'm Chann and you're watching Made by Chann. We are in the holiday spirit if you cannot tell. Even down to my reef earrings. But today's video is not limited to the holiday season. You can really do this any time of year. I am going to be making fabric gift bags 3 ways. The first 2 are just going to be drawstring bags with 2 different methods, and then the last one's technically not a fabric gift bag. It is a tote bag with holiday fabric. But like I said, this can be applicable to all year long. Yes, I said that right. But I am trying to reduce my paper. There's a lot of paper around the holiday season, let's just face it. So I'm trying to reduce my use of it and consumption. So I am going to be making some fabric gift bags today. All right, let's make the first bag the simple way. This is the easiest method. So to get started on the first bag, you want to cut a piece of fabric that is longer than it is wide. I already know the gifts that these bags are going in, so my fabric is going to be 20 inches wide, I believe. Yeah, 20 inches wide by 36 inches long, because that is what works for the gift I'm doing. I am just going to be using the ripping method to cut my fabric because it's cotton and it guarantees a straight line cut on the grain. Once my fabric is cut, then I am going to serge all of my edges. I would serge the fabric anyway or finish my fabric piece somehow because it's going to make it really easy to put the drawstrings in later on so that the fabric doesn't fray. So the first thing I'm going to do is fold my fabric in half and then pin it along the side seams. Once that is done, because I want a little bit of a ruffle at the top of my bag when you see it, just so it looks a little bit more like fancy. I know that I need to add a couple extra inches, so when I fold it over, there's enough room for it to ruffle. So what I'm going to do is make a mark on my fabric. I want a 3/4 of an inch opening on my fabric, so I'm going to mark where the opening is going to be. So I'm going to make a line that is at 3 inches and another one that's going to be 3 1/4 inches. And I decided this will give me a 3/4 of an inch opening, and then the 1/4 inch is because that is the width of the serger stitches. And I'm just going to sew along those 2 lines later on. But next, all I have to do is sew up the side seams. When I sew up the side seams, I'll just make sure I stop at this mark and then start a new line of stitching where this mark is at and sew it up there so it leaves an opening for it. Alright, now I have my side seams sewed up, and then what I'm going to do is that is the top. Press open. Then what I'm going to do is press open the side seams because it'll make it really easy to slide the ribbon through later. Also, I didn't say this before, but you can choose whatever seam allowance you want. I did a 1/2 inch because that's just what I like to do. And if you're a new sewer, make sure you're back stitching at the beginning and end of each stitch. So I'm going to go press this open and then we'll move on to the next step. So now that I pressed open my side seams, I also decided to go ahead and fold down the top edge of the fabric by 2 inches and press that as well. Once you do that, then if I flip it, you can see the opening right there. So next we have to seal up the bag. So what I'm going to do is make 2 stitch lines. The first one's going to be 1 inch from the edge of the fabric, and the second one is going to be 1 inch and 3/4 of an inch. So it's going to line up right along the edge of the serger stitches. That's going to make a tunnel for the ribbon to go through so we can make the drawstring for the drawstring bag. Now on to the last step. I'm going to take my ribbon, and I have a bobbin. If you don't have one, you can use a safety pin, and you're just going to feed the ribbon through the opening. So I just leave my ribbon attached to the spool and attach it to my bobbin. If you don't have a bobbin, use a safety pin. And you're going to put it through the opening on the bag. All right, once you come out through the other side, you're gonna cut the ribbon. And if your ribbon is polyester like mine, burn the tips. And then I'm gonna tie a knot. You're gonna do the same thing on the opposite end. So I'm going to feed my ribbon through the part that doesn't have a knot opening and loop it around. Once you have your 2 ribbons in, you have completed your bag. So you would just put your gift inside and then pull the drawstrings closed. And then, as you can see, we have the cute little ruffle on top. And that is how you make a drawstring bag, aka fabric gift wrap. That's the first bag. The second bag, very similar. I'll show you what we need to do. Now that we finished the first bag, let's make the second style. It is almost exactly the same. Very similar process. I have a piece of fabric that is 20 inches by 44 inches long. I serged all of my raw edges and I folded it in half, just like the first bag. Now, I am going to mark the top the same way I did the last one so that I can have a little ruffle on the top. So my first mark is going to be at 3 inches and my second mark is going to be at 3 3/4 of an inch along the side seam. But before we sew up the side seam, we need to take the bottom of the fabric and fold it up 2.5 inches. So you'll fold it like this. And then when you sew down the side seams, you should also sew down the fold. And then it will make it so that you can have a flat bottom on the bottom of the bag. Alright, I sewed the side seams up and encased the bottom flap into the seams, and then I pressed it. You can press it all at the end or you can press it at that point, and then I also pressed open my side seams. And then from here, you're just going to take it like the normal gift bag that we made previously, the drawstring bag, and fold over the top edge, and then sew 2 channels for your drawstring to go in, or in my case, my ribbon, and then it's done. So I'm going to do that and then I'll show you what it looks like. So I finished the bag, as you saw, and I found a book to put in it so I could show off the flat bottom. Hold on. So if you look, it just makes it a little bit easier to put bigger things in and carry bigger things. And I think it turned out great. So that is a second option for creating a fabric gift bag or a fabric drawstring bag. And this way you can not be limited by the size of your gifts. Last but not least, we're making a tote bag. You may be thinking, Chann, a tote bag is not a fabric gift bag. It can be, and then you're giving someone 2 gifts in one. Think outside the box, okay? I actually do carry how my family works is I go over to my family's house Christmas morning and I bring all the gifts in tote bags. So, and then sometimes they're like, oh, is that a part? I'm like, no. This is how we transported the present. So I'm going to be using this canvas because we kind of need this to be a bit heavier, but you can use whatever you want. I'm going to be cutting a rectangle that is 40 inches long by 18 inches wide. Once you cut your rectangle, your large rectangle, that would be the main bag, you also need 2 smaller strips that are going to be 31 inches by 41 inches wide. Now I'm going to serge all of my raw edges on all 3 pieces of fabric. Once the straps are serged, you need to fold the strap in half and press it, and then I'm going to fold in the inner pieces by 3/4 of an inch on both sides and press it again, and then you'll fold the whole thing in half and press it so your ends are tucked in. In the end, you're going to want a strap that's going to be 1 inch wide. And now my strap is pressed with the edges folded inwards, and then I'm going to do 2 straight stitches along the edges on both sides. If you're curious what this is, it's just a ruler that does seam allowances, and they're all marked on here, and it's ironable. I'll put the name on the screen, but I have 2. Actually, I have 3. But this kind of ensures you have a perfect seam allowance each time. You don't need this. I just have this for my napkin business to make sure I have perfect seams on all of them. Next, I'm going to take my big piece of fabric, aka the main part of the bag, and I'm going to assemble this the exact same way I assembled the gift bags. So I have folded up the bottom edge 3 inches, and then I'm going to sew all along the side seams at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. But before I sew it, I am going to press it down just to make it easier. We need to attach the straps. So I'm putting mine 4 inches in, or about 10 centimeters from the edge on both sides. Make sure they aren't twisted when you put them down. Then we're going to sew down the straps about 1 inch inward on both sides, and you want to try and sew on the same stitch line that you used to edge stitch the straps. If you don't want to take your needle out, that's fine. You can just sew around and make a square shape. That's what I did on the other side. If you can see it, it's pretty light. Now that the straps are sewed down, you're going to take the edge of the bag and fold it over twice by 1 inch so that the strap is enveloped into the hem of the bag. And we're going to press it. All right, now that everything's pressed, I'm going to edge stitch or sew along the edge of the bag at about 1/8 of an inch. I have pinned the straps up so they're out the way. You can pin the whole thing if you want, I'm just not going to. And that is the final step. You don't have to do this, but because I am me, I added some top stitching along just where the straps are so they don't flap open, but you don't have to do that. But the straps are very secure. We've sewed them multiple times. But this is it. I may use it as a gift bag. I may use it as my holiday shopping bag. Who knows? But I love it. All right, y'all, that's it for today. That has been 3 different types of fabric gift wrap. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you're looking forward to more holiday content, because I am very much looking forward to showing you more holiday content. I am so excited. I'll see you all in the next one. If you really like this video, please subscribe and give it a like so I know that you like this kind of content. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.